Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 31st day of July, 2023. Let me make sure my volume's up here. It needs to come up a little bit there. Today, I want to wish happy birthday to my 4-year-old grandson. We got to spend a little time with them this weekend, and that was just amazing. The youngest is 18 months old, but he's just a little boy now. He's not a baby anymore, and to see him interacting with his brother and sister is just so cool. To see them sit together at their little table. He's not in the high chair anymore. He's just in a little chair there with them, having their dinner, having their lunch, whatever. The three of them together is so cool to watch them grow up. And so it was a grandma and grandpa moment, which was just amazing. So we got the little shot in the arm of the kids this weekend. That was cool. There's nothing like grandchildren. I mean, as much as, we loved our boys, these kids are just, I don't know. But if you're a grandma, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll take the runes, the significator runes for the reading to get us started out. And what do we have here from the Elder Futhark? For the above side of things, we have Laguz. Laguz is an interesting rune. It's very simple. It's made up of Isa. Excuse me, the line here. And then if you were to take and look at this other, it's a very skewed Kenaz. And Kenaz is the torch. It's the light of spirit. It's clarity, illumination, and then the Isa would be the Norn rune of the present moment. So you can think of that really as alignment in your own source presence. And so it's a very high vibratory rune, high vibratory energy rune. And it's literally flowing in spirit. It can mean clairsentience. It can reflect intuition, emotional balance. But the other thing it can do, especially if you're empathic, you can chant Laguz and visualize it as like a magical hook to draw energy back to you, allowing the energetic channels that we have with other people, either that others will create toward us, or ones we create by turning our attention to them or to whatever. You want to take that time, especially if you're an empath, and we all are, by the way. It's just some of us know it and other people don't. They don't pay attention to it. They don't tune into it. But if you are that way, you really have to have time where you let go of those channels that have been created. Some people, you might hear it termed cutting cords. I like the idea, the visualization of dissolving channels. It's just my thing. But you can then take what is left that's just yours and then chant Laguz and visualize the Laguz, the rune itself, as a hook. You can just kind of see that hook at the top there, pulling that energy back to you that's yours. Because every time you turn your attention to somebody else, you've created a channel that's energetic. And because especially if you're out and about all the time and you're around other people, the auras, your energetic soul field, the aura is basically interacting with other auras, and it gets kind of sticky. It gets, especially like if you're in a tight area where there's a bunch of people, sometimes you just got to leave. That feeling of I got to get out of here for a minute. It's just too much energy in there, too much stuff that's overlapping with your own, and it's hard to get clear, and it's hard to feel comfortable. And so that's the whole point of doing it, so you get comfortable. But anyway, let's take a look at the Elder Futhark, or rather the Geomancy rune. We'll throw down the 4 elemental runes and see what we come up with. Put them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. Oh, okay, this is Karser. Now, Karser is considered... it's another one of the evil runes, if you will. I don't necessarily look at it as evil, but it looks like a little bird cage, doesn't it? Or like a little ampule. But it's like everything's enclosed in the center. This is really about self-imprisonment, or trying to control other people. It could be that too. But realistically, I think I just look at this more as self-imprisonment. What we do to keep ourselves from moving forward or asserting ourselves or, asking for what we need or want. But instead, maybe we're bound by perception. Maybe it's our own perceptions that are keeping us from doing that. But again, it also could be the constraints that are also put on you by others or by external situations. And with Laguz, the idea there is to flow around all of that. And to whatever restriction that you are imposing on yourself, drop that resistance and let yourself fly, let the little bird fly free. And that's realistically what you're doing. And so, in a sense, maybe you're kind of restricting yourself today. And again, the answer is to drop resistance and let that energy flow the way you need it to. But let's see what the cards have to say. They could take us in an entirely different direction than that. But let's just start out with that idea as the overall idea of the reading and see what the cards have to add. I'll just shuffle just a little bit more. So the last raccoon update I will give, the guy came on Friday, took our traps, and I paid the bill. And when we went to see the kiddos on the weekend, the automatic chicken door worked and all the chickens are still here. So, yay. God, what a nightmare. I'm glad this month is over because it really has. It's been a nightmare around here dealing with all of that. It was just horrible. So I've cut the deck. I've taken the lower half. We have one card from the Suit of Pentacles, one from Wands, one from Cups, and the one from Cups is also a court card. That's the Page of Cups. So let's see what we have here. And what we had last week. Let me just make this window a little bit smaller, just in case there's any overlap from last week. Because last week on Thursday we had Nathis, Rubius, and that was a misuse of force with Rubius. Then we had the 5 of Cups, 2 of Wands, and 6 of Swords. So I don't think that this is really going to dovetail with anything last week. Although we did have Laguz on last Monday. So it's always nice to start the week out flowing in spirit, isn't it? Anyway, we have an overall numerology of 7. The pages, of course, the court cards don't have a number assigned to them, so we don't have to worry about that. But right now we've got a numerology of 7. 7 is about observation. It's about spirituality, balance. Think the scales, letting things come to a rest, and observing all of that process, and then seeing what you really have when all that's said and done. It's also the number for magic, justice. But anyway, if we're really putting too many constraints on ourselves, or someone else is putting constraints on us, we need to learn to flow within that situation, drop resistance where we can. Then it doesn't make sense to be miserly. That's one interpretation of the 4 of Pentacles. Here we have the king with his back to the kingdom. You see, and he's separating himself because you see this dual line here of I call it the dual line of demarcation. I don't know of anyone else who does that, but maybe they do. I haven't noticed. But to me, there's a few cards in the tarot that actually have that, where whatever's happening is on the other side of the rest of their life, so to speak, or the rest of the experience. And here you see the kingdom behind him. He's holding fast to one big coin there in his arms. He's stepping on the other 2. He's displaying one coin on the top of his crown. 4 is about respite. It's about foundation and structure. So it could be that he's not necessarily being miserly. He's just hanging on to what he has there to protect the kingdom, basically. You might look at it. He could be telling the world, these are the resources that my kingdom have. My kingdom has, rather. But at the same time, it could be with his back to it. He's hanging on to his own stuff at the expense of the kingdom, the expense of progress, the expense of taking care of the needs of everybody. So it just kind of depends on, I think, how you read this card, what's with it. And that's true for all the cards in tarot. You can come up with one particular interpretation that generally fits, but most of the time that's miserliness. It's hanging on. But it could be saving for a rainy day, too. It could be planning for the future and making sure that you're a little more conservative about how you spend your money, right? You could feel the self-imposed restriction having to do with finances. Maybe you're hanging on to something when it's time to go ahead and pursue something. Maybe you've been trying to plan a particular project, or maybe you want to buy a home or whatever. And maybe it's just saying, don't be so rigid about what it is that you're wanting to do here. Maybe drop resistance and consider more options, you could say. Flow and higher awareness a little bit more. Maybe you're a little too stuck in one type of perception about it. And that could also be what this is about. 4 could indicate that as well. But 4 is typically practicality, pragmatism, responsibility. And the king obviously has a lot of responsibilities. And he wants to hang on to that money so that there's enough to go around, basically. You just don't want to put yourself in a place with Carcer where you're stuck in that moment and you can't move any further. Some people will amass this fortune and they live in squalor when they could have made their living situation better for themselves. And then when suddenly they've died, they've got all this money and you wouldn't know it to look at where they lived and how they lived. So their family get there. They might be a nice inheritance for the family, but it didn't really do much to make that guy's life better or that lady's life better, right? So there's a lot of ways to look at the 4. But let's go on to the Page of Cups. Here we have, with any of the pages, you're talking students or news bearers. So a lot of the time with the pages, you're talking about what message does this bring? I think that, and then of course in the more hermetic oriented decks, there we go. Oftentimes this will be called the princess, and then the knight would be the prince. But in the Rider-Waite, it's the page, and then the knight, and then the queen and king. And here you have, depending on what this has to do with and what it's next to, say this was next to the Empress, this might signal the birth of a child or a pregnancy. The cups reflects the water element. You see a little bit of Piscean energy here with the fish coming out of the chalice. You see lots of blues and oranges. It's complement. You also see the dual line right here separating where he's standing, we'll say on the sand, and then the waves behind him. So there's some momentum with the waves, there's some change with the waves, but here with this page we see a young person who is confident. They use discretion, they're imaginative, they're intuitive. So again, that's going to align very well with Laguz today. But if we're looking at it from the standpoint of intuitiveness, then there has to be some intuitive understanding about what's happening here and how self-imprisoned you are by the money. And again, this could be that. And once you let go of that, you can then wait for your ship to come in. Here we have the 3 of Wands. Wands is the fire element. It's about the creative spark. It's motivation, for example. It's success, vitality. You see, instead of a blue sky, you see a yellow sky. All of that energy is out there. You see, that even extends down to the water below. It's not blue either, is it? But here it looks like he's got a staff in one hand and he's walked through 2 more. So he's walked through the doorway that he created for himself in the 2 of Wands, the card preceding this one. Only he's looking in the opposite direction. He's got a globe in his hand. And he's standing up on top of a bridge or the top of a building or something. And he's basically trying to make a decision about where is his life going to go. Now that he's no longer imprisoning himself, he's going to let go of some of this. And he's going to maybe use his intuition a little bit more. or his higher awareness, if you will, his imagination, be a little bit more confident about things, that he can let go. He can put that money to good use. Maybe it was to take, college courses or an apprenticeship or what have you, to prepare himself for the future. And now here he is, he's waiting for his ship to come in. Again, you still see the leaves or little branches forming here on the stabs. They're no longer growing from the ground. They're apart from that. So the energy is literally coming from spirit here. You see the effect of the sun here in the yellow sky. But it's all about energy. It's all about motivation. It's all about success. And you can see with this garland that's around him right there, the success is implied, isn't it? But again, whatever decision made in the Two of Wands, he took that information that he got from the decision he made. Now I'm going to go forward on this particular opportunity. And now he's waiting for it for the success to come, for the income to come, right? So I think that Carcer probably aligns with the Four of Pentacles today, and how restricted are we going to be in terms of the resources that we do have, and how are we going to apply them to new opportunities that come our way? Are we going to be willing to take them, or are we going to hang on to what we have and be afraid to move? In other words, practicality for practicality's sake, not in service to something else that could be coming your way today. And so you want to think about that, how restricted are you? How can you drop resistance to new ideas and just to even think about them? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to take one, but you have to be able to assess what's going to be the best thing for you. And you do that by not allowing ego to influence the process. Ego is just going to live in fear at that point and say, ooh, no, don't do that. Well, it could be something really great, and there's no reason to say, ooh, don't do that, right? And so Carcer is really an egoic type of an energy. It's a lower vibrational energy. And Laguz is saying, well, no, flow in spirit, flow in higher awareness, step back, take a look at everything. We've got the 7 numerology for the cards. We have a 4 numerology for today, though, with the 31st. And so again, you're feeling this structure, you're feeling this foundation, this level of responsibility, this level of practicality, and any new opportunities, like you're going to hesitate and go, well, geez, do I take that risk? Well, Carcer's saying no, take no risk. And maybe that's not what you need to do. Maybe there's a reason to take that risk. The cards would suggest that it is. And then in the end of the day, especially when you know that the Two of Wands is talking about making the choice, right? You're walking through the doorway of your own creation in that card, and you're going to make a choice. The world's your oyster, basically. All things are possible. You make the choice of what you want to do, and then you wait for it to come to fruition. With Lammas tomorrow, that's or Lunasad. This is the one of the first harvest festivals, basically. And I'm going to make a soup tomorrow and use as much from the garden as I can have. I have some beans that are ready. I'll put those in. I've got a ton of zucchini. I'm not going to put a ton in there, though. My husband doesn't like it that much. But I'll make my usual vegetable and chicken soup, and I'll try to use as much as I can from the garden. I got some peas yesterday, and so I'll compromise. With him, I'll put some peas in, which I don't like, but I'll put some zucchini that he doesn't really like, and so we'll have a little compromise there tomorrow. But it's to celebrate the harvest, and it's almost like when you the fruits of your labors gain you these resources, but you want to hang on to them, so you have them for a rainy day or whatever. Well, the day is here. Maybe this is the day where you turn a corner and something really lucrative can come your way, and you've put in the effort, you put in the time, and now it's time to take that risk, maybe, and let go of your own with Carcer, you would be letting go of all of the self-imposed restriction you're putting on yourself, and your fear of moving out of that spot for fear of upsetting what the foundation that you already have. And it's not that that's not a reasonable or rational concern to have. It definitely is. But get out from under that a little bit and see if it's just your own fear that's causing that, or if there's actually a reason to say, well, yeah, that looks like a great opportunity. That's a cool job to have, but I really think I need to stay where I am right now. I've got insurance, I've got, and I've got some issues, health issues in the family. We can't afford to have the downtime while we wait for the other insurance to kick in, that sort of thing. Maybe there's no way to deal with that. So again, practicality comes in, but at the same time, you can't be so restricted by the practicality that you ignore the opportunities that are out there that are truly good ones, and that might put you in a different place where you can have even more resources that at your disposal to be able to do things with. And again, it's getting outside that self-imposed restriction, letting higher awareness take over, and be able to let things settle out, let things and find its own measure, and look and see what you've really got to deal with and what you have to work with, and what risk you can take. So I think that's probably it. I think we did it. I don't think we need another card. I just think that we all tend to be one way or the other. We're either very we're either risk averse, or we're embracing it and we're going for it, right? We have high risk behavior versus, oh no, I'm not leaving the house, And so I think that again, it's self-imposed restriction that may be reasonable at this moment in your life. It may be. And if it is, then that's from when you flow in spirit and you let higher awareness look at it, you're going to come to the same conclusion, right? But if it's not, then research it a little more. Allow yourself to explore the options that are out there for you, and take a real serious look at them, because maybe there's something even better that's not going to really impact at all whatever you're saving for here, and whatever conservative, risk-averse approach you have. If it's, I realize that making a big purchase like a home, for example, it's a big deal. I mean, we've only bought one home in our life since the one we're in now, and we've had it for 42 years. We've been here that long. And the idea of looking elsewhere is a little scary, Although we have 5 acres and we have to think about our age, there's different things, different factors involved going forward, of how much longer can we live here? Well, I mean, we can live here quite a while, but if something were to happen health-wise, you see, that's going to change the dynamic, isn't it? And we're going to have to think about something else. And that's a tough decision to make. You don't know what you can afford. You don't know what, because literally we would be downsizing from what we have. And at least in terms of the property, we would definitely be downsizing considerably to just having nothing really compared to what we have now. And so you look at you look at all of the factors, and it's like, well, we're better off to stay here right now. We love our place. We love what we've done with it. It's our home. Everywhere you look, it's a reflection of us. And so you look at all of those factors, and you realize, well, this isn't the time. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to talk about it, and keep that line of conversation open. But at the same time, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. But again, you don't know what the future holds. Doors could open that you just go, wow, that would be perfect. And we can do this, And so there, you might then open your mind a little bit and your heart to the idea that, well, something new can happen for you. That's even better. It's a better situation. Maybe closer to our grandchildren, that kind of thing. And so just using our own life as an example here, it would be, we're going to hang on to what we have, but we're going to be open to the idea of something new with the Page of Cups, and then be ready to stand there and watch our ship come in, once we've made that decision. And then be able to move on to an entirely new experience, a new phase in our lifetime. But again, you have to be willing to open the cage you've put yourself in of perception, to be able to explore new ideas and potential new opportunities. And even if you do nothing at this point, at least you've loosened the bonds, that you've got around you of fear, the fear-based ones of, oh no, I can't do anything else. Maybe you can. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, oh yes, go take the first thing that comes your way. This is just the time to be able to think about it and consider these things, and not be so restricted within yourself that you don't allow yourself to do that, and to dream and to explore new ideas, and think about what could be. Think about the possibility of. Consider the possibility of. With the Page of Cups, I look at that card as this is, clearly it's emotional, and making those kinds of changes typically are. But the idea that you can use your imagination and your intuition to carry you to another place, even if it's only in your mind, and explore what that feels like. And to let go of the fear of doing it and the self-imposed restriction on what you believe you need right now. And again, maybe this is exactly what you need right now. Maybe this is exactly where you need to be. But if not, then dream for the future and allow yourself to imagine something different. So anyhow, that's it for a Monday, I think. That starts us out pretty good for the week, I think. The last few weeks have been about, betrayal and misuse of force and all of that. And it's like be moderate, in what you're doing and all of that. So it just seems like we've had kind of a rough month, and maybe we're starting this, because Tuesday's going to be, tomorrow will be Maiden, and then Tuesday will be, or today's Maiden, and tomorrow will be, I still think I'm in Sunday. Tomorrow will be the full moon. It's going to be a super moon. Last night's moon was already huge, so it's going to be cool to see tonight when I go out and look at Maiden and do some meditation there, see what that's like. And then a Tuesday, of course, again is Lammas, and it's also the full moon. And then Wednesday will be the crone moon, and I also like to go out then as well, particularly then, more so than tonight, but particularly on the crone moon. My husband's fertilizing the garden right now. He fertilizes in Maiden always. And so, well, he does it every couple of weeks, but he makes sure to do it. He's like, when's Maiden? I got to fertilize. But you're feeling that movement, that waxing to the full moon, that waxing experience, that building. And here, that's just the day before, you have a lot of energy there. And then after that, it begins its waning time. That's what I'm actually talking about here. And so after that, he doesn't want to do that. You could maybe harvest then, but he doesn't want to be fertilizing on that day, he says. It's like, very good, you're learning. So it's just this, you've got some momentum right now. And as the moon is still waxing, and then tomorrow will be the full moon, and that's going to be glorious. And then we get a second one on the 31st, I believe. So we'll have 2 full moons this month. Lots of clarity on them. Lots of things being illuminated right now during this time. Lots of truth coming out during this time. So be aware, and this is going to be an interesting month, I think, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm glad July is coming to a close. That was just too much. Too much. Anyway, thanks for watching, and check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there's imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, just click on more below the video, the little more thing there that's you can click, and it opens up a window, and the web address for the blog is right there on top. And then there's other stuff there. You can scroll down. Where I am on social media is at the bottom of all of it. Check out the blog. The week ahead is there. Exploring Tarot, I forgot to post it. I posted it this morning. And that's where I'm talking about the 6 of Pentacles, which I just have a visceral reaction to that card, and I don't see it as positively as other people do. So anyway, I talk about that in the post for that. And then also the daily correspondences for Work in Magic this week are up. So if you're of the magical persuasion, you might want to look at that and see what you can do, and what does. Most of the week is going to be favorable. Saturday will be neutral, but Tuesday through Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday through Friday, I should say, will be excellent in terms of favorability for Work in Magic. Neutral today. The last few days of the month are always very bad for Magic. You have to really shore things up in order to do it, make it work for you. Make sure you really follow the energetic, issues that you have to deal with, and make sure you know what they are when you're working Magic at the end of the month. But now it's, we're the last day, and it's a neutral energy, and it should be fine. But you set your intentions on the new moon for the coming couple of weeks there, or at least even for the coming month, and you check in on the full moon and see where are you, how you doing on it all, and then after that, it's you start all over again at the new moon 2 weeks later. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have not yet clicked subscribe, I'd love you to do that, and come back on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.